Hi, I'm Daniel, I'm a sleep physician, and if you're insomnia, this channel is for you. Today, we're going to talk about what I realized is a big sleep killer. It worked for me. We're going to see why it actually did not work for that person, why it's not going to work for you, and how you have to be careful when you tell other people about what helped you sleep better. Super nice having you back here. Hope you're doing really well. I'm excited. I think this is going to be a good episode. And at the end, a nugget from this email from Martin that I forgot yesterday. I totally omitted it. It's a really good one. So first things first, I have started to believe that this is a big reason people have trouble sleeping and don't get past their insomnia. It works for me. We hear it all the time on Twitter, online forums, like Facebook groups, things like that. You know, people are talking about their trouble sleeping and somebody says, this works for me. It could be the milkweed, the sleepy time tea, the chamomile tea, you know, the hot milk with honey, the trazodone, the lunesta, the whatever it is. This works for me. We hear it all the time. And that is so problematic because it reinforces this notion that there are a lot of people out there with insomnia that have found the thing that works for them. And if you're out there looking for some help and you see like, oh, this worked for that person, then you go, maybe it's going to work for me. Well, you try it and it didn't. Then you're out there again and you're like, oh, it's a combination for this person. It was a combination of this and that worked for them. Maybe that's going to work for me. And this creates this scenario where you are taken down the rabbit hole of trying to find the thing that's going to work for you. And that search, just gives attention to insomnia. It makes us think about it all the time. You know, it just feeds it, and it really even not even just feeds it. It like makes insomnia really entrenched. So what are some important things to think about? Like, you know, because one thing you may think is like, well, people are saying this works for them, so why should I not believe them? Well, here's the why. The only thing that can produce sleepiness and make us sleep is our natural sleep drive. Our bodies need to sleep. And how can we then how can we question if somebody says this works for me? Well, here's the kind of like logical thinking that can really prove that there is no such thing that works for them. Let's say somebody says, oh, it is 5-HTP. 5-HTP works for me. And then, you know, if you'd ask this person, okay, well, what if you take 5-HTP at 8 a.m., 1 hour after you slept? Would it make you sleep? And then probably this person will go like, no, I never tried it, but I don't know, maybe it would. And then you can make the case, well, what if you took it every 8 hours? What if you took your 5-HTP at 10 p.m., at 6 a.m., and at 4 p.m., something like that? Would you sleep all the time? And then people are going to know, but I would kind of be groggy. So why wouldn't you just sleep all the time if it makes you sleep? Why wouldn't you be perpetually sleeping? Well, they probably couldn't answer that. But kind of a follow-up to that would be like, why is it only working if you take it at 11 p.m. or 10 p.m.? You know? Is there another reason why it's only working then? And if not, if it really is working, it should always just put you to sleep, right? And of course, that's never the case. There's nothing that will always just put a person to sleep. And that's kind of a proof that nothing works. There's no external thing that can make you sleep. So one thing, when you hear people say like, this works for me, know that it doesn't. It does not. It is just that person has a belief that it works for them, and then it kind of boosts their sleep confidence, right? And the reason it's important again is you don't want to go on that wild goose chase for the thing. And secondly, based on what I just said, if somebody says this worked for me, it doesn't work for them, and it's not gonna work for you unless you truly believe it. And then that's not necessarily a good thing either, because then, if you truly believe something external is making you sleep, then as soon as that thing is no longer working, it never worked actually, but if it's no longer working, then you're going to look for another thing that's going to make you sleep. So then, it helped you a little bit, but then you're back in the goose chase. And then thirdly, this is also important. Whenever you're talking about your trouble sleeping with somebody, be very mindful of this, because if you're telling somebody, this worked for me, this supplement, this melatonin, this thing worked for me, you might send somebody else out on that goose chase. And the exception, of course, is using like mindfulness-based therapy, cognitive behavioral therapy for insomnia, like keeping your attention away from something. Those things, of course, you should spread that. That's the gospel. That's the thing that really does help. So you should definitely talk about that. So hope this was helpful. And now to the nugget here that I, yesterday when I recorded that podcast episode, I knew there was something I missed. I knew there was something I had overlooked. And here it is. So this is an email from Martin. And he says here, and finally when I go to bed, after like 2 hours of not sleeping, I start to not be sleepy at all. So I usually fall asleep at 5 or 6 a.m. when I give up my attempts to fall asleep. Did you hear that? In case you missed it, here it is again. I usually fall asleep at 5 or 6 a.m. when I give up my attempts to fall asleep. Classic. This is exactly, what it's all about. When we try to sleep, want to sleep, pray for sleep, hope for sleep, bargain for sleep, that creates that tension and pressure that makes it impossible. When we give up our attempts, when we're no longer trying to sleep, sleep comes easy. A classic example of that one. I feel so sleepy at 9 p.m. I just can't keep my eyes open. As soon as I go to bed, my head hits the pillow. Ding! I'm wide awake. When we don't want to sleep, we often can't keep ourselves from sleeping, driving, watching TV, things like that. When we want to sleep, it becomes impossible. So this was a real nugget here that I missed yesterday. All this being said, thank you so much for tuning in. Please keep sending me comments and emails. They're so helpful. I'm gonna continue doing this, what I've started now. Mondays and Thursdays, I'm gonna do these audio replies to a number of questions and upload them as a podcast episode and as a YouTube episode here. And I'm going to do this as a Facebook live. So if you want to like my page on Facebook, you can tune in live. It's going to be like, I wish I could tell the exact times, but it's going to be Mondays about 7 p.m. Pacific time, and Thursdays anywhere between like 10 a.m. and 1 p.m. Pacific time. And one day I'm going to do true lives where I just like ask me anything, answer questions. That is going to happen at some point. Until then, I hope you have a really, really nice rest of your day or night or whatever it is. And I shall be back tomorrow. Until then, take it easy.